So how did the A Few Good Women oral history come to be?
Well, the project began when I visited Barbara Franklin at her office in Washington, D.C. I was there to talk to her about donating her papers to the Penn State Archives. In the course of our discussion, she told me about her first position in government service when she was a special assistant to President Nixon, and when her primary responsibility was to recruit women into executive positions in the federal government. I'd never heard of this before, and from that time period, that seemed like a very unusual thing to be doing. And we talked more about that, and she agreed that not a lot of people seemed to know about it.
So, how did you go about making sure that this important time period wouldn't be forgotten?
Well, I told her that I thought that this might make a good oral history project, and she wanted to know what that was. So I explained oral history to her, and we talked about it for a little while, and then we got back to talking about the papers. A year or so afterwards, she came back to me and said that she thought that she might like to do the oral history project, and she asked if I could tell her what all was involved in terms of staffing and finances and so forth. And I came up with that information, and then later on she was able to pull the money together, and we were able to start doing the oral history project. Who began the project, who was an experienced journalist, told her about oral history and how it was different from her experience as a journalist, and then began to administer the interview tapes and transcripts as they started coming in to the archives.
Now, what aspects of a project like this would cost money? Like, what expenses do you run into?
Sometimes you need to pay the interviewer, sometimes you need to buy equipment, taping equipment if you're going to do oral, or if you're going to do video interviews. Sometimes you have to travel to go. We did interviews all over the country for this project. And you usually have to pay to have the transcripts made as well. So it sounds like it shouldn't be all that involved, but it actually can cost quite a lot of money to do it if you're going to do it correctly.